Hey guys, what's up? Itchla coming back to ya with another episode. Car Rides with Schla. And today, I honestly can say I think I'm on the pathway to inner peace. I don't know. I don't know if it's bouncing from one episode to the next, or what it is, or what it means. I have not a clue, but what I can say is that I'm here and I'm alive. And no, I mean in a real way, in a very real way. I don't know. I think I had a social rush, and so I sort of documented it, where I had a social rush from what was it, like late January until probably last week. And then we had a crash, and then I don't know. Now, even though there's a crash now, at least today, I actually feel pretty fine. I think there's a few things. Some things are out of my control. Obviously, I'm given a lot of space. I'm not having a lot of friends. And I'm just thinking I should just embrace it. I mean, it comes with its downsides, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of peace in that. There's a lot of peace and quiet. And I know people where they're popular, but they deal with a bunch of commotion. So I just feel like it's such a grass is greener on the other side of the fence kind of thing. And I'm taking it for granted, a lot, I'm really taking things for granted, So I've just been thinking about it and yeah, I don't even know. I don't know. It's kind of coming to terms with a lot of different things. Just thinking about what my potential is, where I'm at, where I should be, and what all this means. It's not really all that complicated to me. And I just think, again, I've had an experience and I've been fighting it too much, I've sort of always been a little bit skeptical of free will, and yet I think I'm fighting my destiny too much. That's a huge thing I feel. I feel it in my soul, where I'm trying to fix, I'm trying to optimize. What I don't think I realize is, well, it is true that people are not optimizing well, and there's many dangers and concerns within modernity. It wouldn't be accurate to say that that's the end of that conversation. Yeah, sure, people aren't optimizing, but in a way, a lot of people are still totally giving into this whole thing. What is this thing? Well, it's stimulation. So for me to be optimizing my life to make it as seamless, as smooth as possible, what is the point of that? The reason why this series started is because of the friction. It was friction. I had a desire to talk to people. And what I've learned in this day and age is that people are unavailable. They're flaky. They're irresponsible, uncaring, unempathetic, selfish, but most importantly, flaky. And I learned that in my desires to want to talk to people and want to plan calls and have people never show up, continuously let me down, never apologize for anything. But it was that desire that was in my heart that led to that boredom, if you will. What's dangerous about modern society is we can escape boredom. We can. I mean, with technology the way it is, it's very strong, and we can really drown out a lot. We don't actually have to feel boredom. We don't have to have those hungers. You know, the intermission doesn't really happen anymore when you're waiting in a car ride on a long trip and you just have to stare out the window for 3 hours. No, now you're fine. Now, first it was like you had to download the videos and music you wanted to watch. Now you don't even have to do that. You can just still use your phone. And it's, you know, it's like you don't even have to sacrifice anything, right? So we really don't have these moments of boredom. And in my case, I'm like trying to optimize. And I think in a way that is what I'm doing. Now, granted, and it deserves recognition, my intention is very noble. It's very high. You know, trying to be available for other people. An animate, live conversation in this day and age. This is not extremely common. You know, it's not like I'm prioritizing listening to music in the car or watching TikTok while I drive to work because, oh, that would be more optimal because it occupies the brain. No, I mean, it's a noble, it is a more mature, it is a more adult objective. I was going to say pursuant, but that is not, I think, I'm just going to say objective. I'm not, that works. Pursuee, no. Objective. But here's the whole thing with life. And I think what I've had to learn about the nature of duality and the nature of the spectrum is that within the framework of this world, there are still certain limitations. So that's stuff that we have to contend with. It's stuff that we have to deal with. Doesn't matter how noble it is, it's ultimately two sides of the same restlessness. One is meaningful, one is devoid of meaning, but both are placing an expectation onto the world that the world needs to be something that it's not. I think I was defining this last week or the week before, somewhere around there, where I was stating how it's actually the moments in between that define a person. And in my case, I thought something was wrong with me because I couldn't keep up with people. Everybody wanted to always be playing a game or watching something. And I really needed these quiet moments, these moments to talk, these moments to get things off my chest. I needed them. And many of my friends wouldn't want to talk like this. They just always wanted to play the video game, always wanted to jump right in. And again, it was frustrating because, and even now, like it's weird because it feels like people can really have more fun than me. They can just bounce around and they do all these fun things. and they play so many different games and watch so many different shows, and it just looks and seems like they're always watching something. And I've had trouble keeping up. There's certain things like GPT that are good for me. Even if it's novel, even if it's live, it's just text. You know what I mean? It's just, there's no clutter. There's not really much being imprinted. I like keeping my eyes protected. And that seems to be something that modernity has also lost, is the sacredness of what you permit yourself to see. You know, I grew up during a time where, especially when people are teenagers, they just constantly want to send disgusting things, and everybody just gets desensitized to everything. And, you know, I notice now that me and people I know are all older and like adults. It's not really as prevalent as it was, but it's just strange. It's strange that people really gravitate to a lot of these things that are like, why would you want to look at that? Why would you send that to somebody? And I've always had these thoughts, and yet, you know, not really anybody ever reciprocated them or anything. And still continues to make me feel like an outcast, and that, again, something's wrong with me. I wish I could keep up with people more. People who post pictures all the time, post GIFs, post memes, post reels. Like, I just can't take it. I want to clear all that stuff out of the chat. You know, let's talk about something that's going to be meaningful, that we're going to remember. And my philosophy, my comfort, is more and more becoming a scarce resource as time is going on, more and more. But it was the hunger. It was the fact that I didn't have anything to satisfy me that led me to doing what I'm doing right now. It was the hunger. A hunger that I potentially may not have had if I had enough stimulation. I've talked about it before. If I was able to find a friend to talk to, I just don't know that I would have ever taken this plunge. I don't think I would have, personally. I don't think it would have happened. I think I would have been very content with just having a friend and talking to them. And so it's interesting. In a similar way, though, even if I did have a friend, what if video games made me happy? What if I was happy enough just listening to music while I drove? If I didn't have the hunger, the appetite to speak, because the appetite to speak, it consumed everything else. My appetite to speak. I used to listen to music in the car sometimes, but other times I just wouldn't, because I didn't always want the noise. A lot of these things have brought me to my present moment, and it's actually through an inability for my brain to be satisfied. That led me to all this. It was a hunger that forged my character. And so, what this all has to do with is, you know, I used to get upset, and I still probably do and will get upset about people letting me down, people being flaky. And nobody has any right. This isn't, I still take that seriously. Nobody has any right to flake on a person or get distracted and not. I mean, I don't tolerate that at all. I think it's awful. And people should feel bad when they flake on a person. People should be held accountable to that. But the thing is, that's not up to us to decide. It would be up to some kind of a supernatural. And I think that's that whole concept about really forgiving other people, what that really means. I think that's what it means, because you're always going to be able to justify to yourself this way around it. Why would it matter? Like, if every single time I wanted to VC, I got the VC with the person I wanted, I would not be the person I am. I don't think I would have the words that I have. I wouldn't be able to speak about the things in the way I do. A lot of it is due to what I experienced, that I even have the perspective that I have. And it's a very important perspective, because not only have a lot of people gone through similar situations, but more and more people will continue to. This is becoming a super common problem in society. It's becoming a super big issue as time is going on. More and more people, and this is kind of what I talk about when we talk about why consumptive content and entertainment, they can be dangerous. And in the same way, idle conversations can be, because they can prevent you from unlocking your true self by making your mind and your brain just comfortable enough so that you don't ask the questions and that your appetite isn't being full. It's like eating food that you're not getting your proper nutrition. You're fed, but you're still hungry. You're still hungry for something. You can't quite put your finger on it. You don't know exactly what the problem is. You're eating, but you don't feel great. And you're confused. I think this is where a lot of people fall into. Am I really that special or that different if I get upset when things don't go my way? Does that really stand out as anything? I guess in a way it can go both ways, and I think I've talked about that before. I don't really want to become somebody who just rolls through life. I would absolutely appreciate I completely lost my train of thought. Anyways, I guess I'll just start talking to, um, what can you do? How am I oh yeah, yeah. I appreciate, like, if something sad happens, I think you should be sad, but at the same time, I think perspective is important. And it's that, why avoid it? That's like the whole point. Like, okay, somebody can't VC. Okay, I'm sad. And like, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I've talked to, and it seems like a huge pattern with people where they can't handle that. Like, if they get let down, they feel terrible and don't really know how to manage that. And then if they let other people down, they feel terrible and don't know how to manage it. And this just seems like this really big problem with some people. Like, you either meet, it seems like in my generation, there's no in between. It's either people who have no idea what they're doing, or it's people who, yeah, like, it's either people who are really selfish and just barrel through people, or it's people who, again, like I said, have this problem where they just feel over guilty, and it's crazy. Like, it's not even something that, because what I realize now in retrospect is, it's like, and I actually, some of the more recent people I've known, I would even tell them this, and it still wouldn't work. I'd say, like, well, why? Like, I can still be upset, but that doesn't mean something's your fault. Like, it obviously might not be your fault, but why would I not be allowed to be upset? Or, like, you can't handle me telling you that I was upset. Do you see what I'm saying? And then there's other people, but it seems like it's either that, or it's people who you tell them you're upset and they just don't care. Like, they're just like, okay. And, there's like no in between. I don't know why there's no in between, but, and I do think it's experiences that cause it too, because I think a lot of people don't really articulate it properly. And when they are mad at someone, they just get so mad and they just can't handle it. And people are not really adequate at managing their emotions. Like, it's not really something that we're taught. And it really shows. It just shows. I mean, I think I'm guilty of the same thing. It's just that I really think my brain's been a lot to unpack and figure out. So it's just taken me till I was older to really understand. But I mean, honestly, I don't really think anybody is a teenager. Well, I'm not going to say anybody, but I think for the most part, when you're a teenager, you just have like a very limited scope of things. And some people still do as adults too, because some people just never really grow up. They never have to, or they just never, because I've mentioned it before, right? Memory is such an important thing, because if you can't remember, you can't actually grow up. Like, if you're 50 years old, but you can only remember the past 5, you're not really 50 years old. If you're not actually taking what you've learned, what you've experienced, remembering it, connecting stuff, having something to build off of and work on, you just can't get anywhere. You're never going to grow. And I've talked about that first, but yeah, I mean, that's what the whole point is. I guess the whole point is not about getting upset. The point is, why should I be pursuing the same thing everybody else is, which is just constantly feeling good, constant stimulation? Is it a utopia? Perhaps. Perhaps it's a utopia. And I've always kind of gravitated to that because I want to optimize and I want to, figure all this stuff out. But I'm optimizing something that isn't really important, and I don't think it would really help me. Because I've already optimized so much and it just doesn't, I guess it doesn't change your soul that it's easier. That like that doesn't really, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how else to explain that. But that's what I'm saying. So yeah, I mean, it's not optimal. It would be better for me to have somebody to talk to on my car ride home. But see, at the same time, it also isn't bad that I feel the emotion, feel the sadness, feel the disappointment. And if I hadn't had done that, felt the anger of being let down, I would not have made it here, because I would have just been apathetic to things and never really. So I think I'm onto something with that. I mean, you have to have a potent emotional response. You do. You have to have a strong emotion. You can't be apathetic. Apathetic people, I don't think that is really going to turn. And now, I guess in a way it can, because if you can really just roll through the punches in life. But I guess I talk more for like artistry, like your character. And it's actually about holding on and not becoming numb. Now, you can be a good worker, right? If you deal with the perils of life and you just become numb to it, you become tough. That's good for being a worker, but it's not good for being an artist. And it's not necessarily good for anything pertaining to, your soul, your character, who you are as a person. I don't think it builds any of that. So, yeah, I think, when I want a VC and I can't find anybody, it's fine. Like, I guess I don't really understand why. And I could change my mind about all this stuff, but that's like the inner peace thing and I've known it for a while, but I guess I'm having issues processing it. Like, really just focusing on myself and not even not giving so much to be disappointed by, or it's really something. It's something, I think. But that's how I feel. Like, now I think I'm getting older. I think I'm getting better at processing things. I'm obviously trying to think about things more. I've had this show as an outlet, But yeah, I mean, that's basically what the point is what's special about me if I'm just going to drown out everything, If I was just going to optimize, it might be noble, it might be a good optimization, but at the end of the day, it's still just the same pattern of trying to maximize enjoyment. And is that really... Now, I think there's a balance to it. I think there should probably be a balance, because I don't know that I really deserve to put myself through like a rigid or like a rough existence. And I think sometimes I can be kind of hard on myself. And that's what I'm saying. I don't really deserve that. if everybody else just gets to have fun too, like I should also get to have some fun. So there's definitely a balance to it for sure. But like ultimately, it's a pretty good conclusion for me to reach and for me to understand. And again, yeah, I don't know why. Like I said, I mean, tomorrow, I don't know if I'm really going to maintain this understanding, but I'm hoping that over time, I'll continue to comprehend it better and maybe we'll actually get somewhere, you know? Because I think I'm on the right track. I do. I think I'm on the right track, especially with how, because I talked about this concept in an earlier Car Rides with Schla, but I didn't really hit it at this angle. This is a very specific, and I feel as though it's a potent angle and articulation of the concept. And it is my emotions and the fact that I did not become a zombie and felt the way I felt that got me to where I am now. That's why. And I would have been tougher. I would have been stronger. I wouldn't be recording. Or if I was recording, it wouldn't be the same. It wouldn't have the same desire. I think you can tell. You can probably tell from me as a person broadly the way I speak, but also even within me as a broad person from episode to episode. Sometimes I'm probably just not that interested in talking. I'm a little more bored. But I think you can still overall tell me as a person. There's a desire, there's a will, there's a motivation to speak, and that really goes a long way. Not everybody has that, and I think it makes the way they sound. It's totally different. Like you can't compare somebody who loves to talk and who really wants to somebody who just doesn't have that in them, because some people just don't. But some people have other like obviously this is my thing, but other people have other things that I'm terrible at. Just such a difficult one because people don't appreciate it. They don't appreciate it directly. If you're good at talking, they like to just take advantage of it. At least in my experience, that seems to be how it goes. Like people, they will just take your kindness for weakness. They'll take your patience and just abuse it. Like there's a lot of stuff I could get into about my thoughts on that, So it's like a whole other thing. But yeah, that's the thing. It's like usually being good at communication, and it, especially for a career, I mean, obviously when it's just like surface level is fine, but in my case, I mean, it's tough because the spot I'm trying to get at, it's tough. It's a tough spot to strike. But here we are. Trying to make this work. Trying my best. Anyways, it has been Schla. Now it's time to buy Schla. So, see you, Schla.